I want you to think about what your dream is. What is your future? What do you want to do? What do you dream about? You don't have to share, just think about what that is. Got it? Now think about if someone told you that you couldn't do that. What if they told you you couldn't do it because you are a girl or you're a boy? How would you feel? You don't have to answer. Probably not good though, right? So right now in society, people don't say you can't do that because you're a girl. But sometimes we don't have role models for girls that are doctors, that are scientists, that are in these professions that we call STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So girls aren't going into those fields, and it's just kind of a society thing. It's not because somebody points their finger and says, you can't do this. So this is a book about Cinderstella. Remind you of anybody? Yeah. Cinderella. Okay, so it's going to be kind of like a Cinderella story. So we'll kind of compare and contrast as we go through the similarities and differences between real Cinderella story and this new updated version of Cinderella called Cinderstella. Okay. So sometimes people get what they want by being persistent and dedicated to their dream, not letting it go, despite what other people might think. So we're going to see how Cinderstella accomplishes her goals and her dreams by staying true to who she is and not letting anybody else tell her that she can't do it. Once upon a time, there lived a girl named Cinderstella. She had 2 stepsisters who made her work every day. But every night, Cinderstella climbed to her treehouse to be close to the stars. One day, a royal invitation arrived. "We're invited to a fancy ball," shrieked one stepsister. "The prince will be there," squealed the other. "Princesses and parties are fine," said Cinderstella, "but I have other plans." "Make us dresses," the stepsisters insisted. So that day, Cinderstella bought a box of fabric and plenty of patterns. But that night, she gazed at patterns filled with possibilities far, far away. "Work faster," the stepsisters insisted the next day. So Cinderstella cut, pinned, and sewed until her fingers were sore. But that night, she turned scraps into maps of places and planets more magnificent than she could imagine. "Style our hair," the stepsisters insisted the day after that. So Cinderstella worked and weaved and piled hair high. But that night, she reached even higher, decorating with dreams she knew she would follow. "Shine our jewelry," the stepsisters insisted the day of the ball. So Cinderstella polished pearls and made sapphires sparkle. "Don't you just love rings and twinkling things?" asked the stepsisters. "I certainly do," said Cinderstella, and that night she marveled at millions of rings and twinkling things. But one star shone brighter than the rest. Cinderstella made a wish she was working to make real. Bling! "Cinder, honey, you have no fear. Your fairy godmother is finally here. You want to meet the prince tonight? So here's a gown that fits just right." "But I don't want a ball gown," said Cinderstella. Glass slippers then, for you and your feet, and the handsome prince you shall meet. But I don't want glass slippers. A golden carriage will take you there. You and the prince shall be a pair. But I don't want a carriage. Listen, honey, you need to meet the prince so you can live your happily ever after, insisted Fairy Godmother. Why isn't anybody listening? Asked Cinderstella. Princes are fine, but I have other plans. Ah, said the Fairy Godmother, gazing at the ribbons and the stars. Now I see your dreams, and one of them is stuck in my hair. She waved her hand. A future princess you are not. Your heart has chosen astronaut. Bling! Finally, my own happily ever after. You earned it, Cinder, with your stars and studying. Cinderstella, the stepsisters screeched. What on earth are you doing? I'm going somewhere too. Really? They asked. There won't be princes, but there will be lots of rings and twinkling things. You can come if you wish. But the stepsisters weren't certain, but they were curious. Let me guess, said the Fairy Godmother. Parties and princes are fine, but you might have other plans too? Bling! So Cinderstella showed her stepsisters the universe of possibilities. Sky is the limit for science sisters. Prince finds true love in computer class. And they all discovered their own happily ever afters. Was this book like Cinderella? Yeah. In what ways?
The two mean stepsisters.
The two mean stepsisters. They were trying to make her do all of their work, weren't they? The Fairy Godmother came down. Did she grant Cinderstella's wish? Yeah. How was Cinderstella feeling before when the godmother was like, you're going to get a prince, you're going to marry the prince and live your happily ever after with the prince? How did she feel?
Unhappy.
She was unhappy, wasn't she? Yeah. She was like, I don't know, why isn't anybody listening to me? And she kept true to herself, right? She kept true to her dreams, and they finally did come true.